Hey everyone, you're listening to Party Time, My Golf Story with Kevin Walsh and whatever special guest he has today. You can check me out on episode 9 of the podcast. Today I'm wearing Grayson clothes while I'm out practicing because I believe in look good, play good. And follow me on Instagram, Sophia Warren Golf, and hope you enjoy the rest of the show.
It's Party Time, My Golf Story, brought to you by Party Drinks. Classically designed golf drinks for golfers by golfers. And the golf real estate pros Gene Walsh and Vince Visicaro. For your Southwest Florida real estate needs, check them out at suncoastdreams.com. Now here's your host, Kevin Walsh.
Hey, welcome to the program. We got a good one for you today. William Hyndman V, who is probably better known around golf circles in the Philadelphia area as Bill Hyndman. He is the CEO of the First Tee of Greater Philadelphia. He's also one of my childhood friends. But none of us, when we were younger, called him William Hyndman V or Bill. We called him King. And there's a reason behind that. A lot of Bills in the family, which you'll get into. And there's another Bill. So more nicknames have to flourish as a result of that. If there's anybody who has his finger on the pulse of golf, where the game is going, where it's been, and why we should feel hopeful about it, if anybody knows more about that than my pal, King Hyndman, I don't know who it is. Fascinating guy. We spent a lot of time together growing up, playing competitive golf, playing social golf, going to the Jersey Shore. You name it, we're going to get into all that. And it's just a good trip down memory lane. And also, he has an interesting family project that he's going to share with us in the conversation as well. Big thanks to the real estate pros of Vince Visicaro and Gene Walsh. If your dream is to live in a golf community, a golf resort style community, especially in Southwest Florida, there's no better team and no better place than Lakewood National Golf Club. That's where Gene and Vince Visicaro are located. suncoastdreams.com, or you can call them at 941-220-4000. And of course, a big thanks to our title sponsor, Party Drinks. If you're looking for an alternative to beer on the golf course, or you finally say, I think I've had enough of High Noon, and you should be at that point because it doesn't taste that great. Party is the drink for you. For golfers, by golfers, and for a list of the different places where you can find it, they'll be scrolling across the bottom of your screen throughout. All right, let's bring my buddy. Hey, man, come on, wake up. You are on the podcast. This is my buddy.
Bring it on.
Yeah, let's get it on. Hey, first of all, the name thing. So we have you typed in as Bill Hyndman. I know I'm going to be calling you King throughout. So let's get this name game out of the way. Why the nickname King? Why the ditching of it?
So a lot of Williams in my family, being William Hyndman V. And my mom wanted to come up with a nickname because all the Bills had a nickname. My grandfather, William Hyndman III, was Big Bill. My dad, William Hyndman IV, was Bucky Hyndman. And my mom came up with King because there was a King William IV in England, and there was never a King William V. So she came up with my nickname as King. So when you and I went to kindergarten and first grade together, I was King.
And the name stuck. And so if anybody is around you and they hear somebody else calling you that name, then they know that they go way back to the old neighborhood. So tell me about the old neighborhood. You grew up in a very interesting place. The front part of your house was on a busy street, but the back part of your house was paradise. Give me a feel for what it was like where you grew up.
So we moved to our Abington home when I was in second grade, and backed up to Huntington Valley Country Club. And the golf course was my backyard. And it took me a little while to get into golf, but having the golf course as my backyard, 140 acres of golf course was unbelievable to have as your playground. No swing sets for us. It was the golf course.
Well, golf has been a part of your family from the very beginning. I guess you could say you were born into it. Your grandfather played and was very, very accomplished. He was basically the second coming of Bobby Jones. We'll get into that a little bit later. But where does your golf story start? Who put a club in your hand for the first time?
So it was my grandfather. I'll never forget. I think it was my 5-year-old birthday party, and he came over with some golf clubs that were wrapped up in a sheet from their attic, and they were the golf clubs that he used when he was a kid, and they were right-handed golf clubs. And just like my grandfather, who was left-handed, I'm left-handed, and the only thing that I do right-handed is play golf. And he had given me these right-handed golf clubs that were, kid size, and but just old persimmon heads and leather grips. They were ancient, but they were my golf clubs. And I think he was enthusiastic for me to start at an early age. I don't think I really took to it, very quickly. But I think my family was really careful not to push me into golf, even though we lived on the golf course and I was always around golf. My dad was really careful just not to, influence me to play before I was ready. And I think that, a lot of parents, have to be really cautious about that. I think my parents did a really good job with that. And, once I started playing around age 13, the light switch went off and there was like no holding back. I was just a diehard golfer. And, I just absolutely loved the game.
Well, what was it that, what was the trigger point? Like, why all of a sudden at 13, you're like, I want to do this, or you don't know. It was just there.
Yeah. I think I see it with first tee kids. I think you hit some golf balls and, it's a really hard game. And I see it with these kids. Some of the kids coming from the inner city and they can't even hit the ball. And all of a sudden they hit that one shot, or the ball gets off the ground. I think for me, I started realizing that I could make the ball do what I wanted. But I couldn't do it all the time. But I just knew that I needed to work harder so I could repeat it. And it just, it's the game of golf. It just hooks you. If you play it enough, eventually everybody gets hooked on golf. If you're a baseball player, softball player, soccer player, when your time's up with that sport, you're going to get hooked on golf. And
totally,
it's a great game.
Well, we played it when it wasn't cool. Let's just say Tiger made it cool. But there were other sports and we played those too. And the other athletes in my school used to call me names because I play golf. And the best athlete in our school, Dave Roach, who was good at everything. He hated golf. Now he's Mr. Golf. Now he's posting pictures of himself on the Swilken Bridge when he goes to Pinehurst and everything. And I'm just like, you are the last person I thought would be playing golf, but he's like Mr. Golf. No, whatever. Yeah. It's all good.
Hey,
whenever it finds.
Going to some reunions for high school. And everyone's like, oh my God, I made fun of you for playing golf, but why didn't you get me to play golf sooner? Because everybody I know plays golf. Like nobody plays football anymore. Nobody plays basketball. They all play golf. And, it's why I feel, really strongly about the first tee to help, get kids into golf because it's a lifelong game. And even if you can't play it super competitively or whatever level, you're going to play the game of golf for your whole life.
King, tilt that camera down because I've been staring at the bridge of your nose for the last 30 seconds.
Good there?
You're all good. We're all good right now. So when I like how you said that your dad didn't want to push you into the game because you come from a very well-known golfing family, the success of your grandfather, which we'll get into and everything. That being said, did you feel the pressure of carrying the family name and its legacy in golf?
Well, I didn't feel pressure getting into the game, but after I started playing competitively and you're showing up as a 13-year-old and somebody wants to interview you for the newspaper, you're not just showing up as anybody. You're showing up as a competitor that people have expectations for. So, no expectations from the family. I think it was difficult once there was publicity about the historical significance of my grandfather's play. He had played in 9 Masters, 11 U.S. Opens, 5 Walker Cups. It was, really great golfing record. I think that even for my dad and his brother, it was tough to, represent the family name. And, it's just nice if you show up and you're just playing for yourself. But if you feel the pressure to play for a name or play for your family, it makes it a little bit more difficult.
How'd you handle that?
I think you just figure it out. I think peaks and valleys of life, and I think you just have to figure it out. I don't think there's anything that anybody can prepare you for. I think that was always a challenge for me. And maybe it's why, I never became like a great competitive golfer. I would like to get back into that. But I think it was always a challenge. But I think it's just something that in life you have obstacles and you just have to figure it out from trial and error.
Mm-hmm. King Hyndman is our guest. He's the CEO of the First Tee of Greater Philadelphia. He's also one of my childhood friends. We played golf together. We surfed together. We caddied together. We did some other things together that we probably can't say on the podcast. Good, clean fun for the most part. But stuff that made our parents wary. Let's just say that. And now that we have children of our own, I don't know that they put us through the same stuff we put our parents through. But it was great to grow up where we did, surrounded at a place where we just had an interesting mix of people at Huntington Valley. And I'm not just talking about the membership, but I'm talking because we both caddied. So we intermingled with the kids from Bishop McDevitt, and we really saw all walks of life. What was your caddy experience like?
I first started caddying when I was 13. I had to get working papers to work for Joe Betzel. And I'll never forget, I was trying to caddy for this first outing. And I think Joe purposely picked me as the last kid to get out. And it was an abominable day. It was a 5-hour round. It was super heavy bags that had 30 golf balls each. It didn't make a lot of money, but it was really, it was, a term of endearment where you had to work hard. And, I think it just helped develop in me a work ethic of working hard. And, there were certainly some great loops for some great players, but there was some unbelievably difficult loops for some horrible players. And you just had to suck it up and persevere. And I think that all those individuals and kids that we caddied for have all gone on to be very successful because everybody shared that same work ethic. And there were some days where you might wait 4 hours and not get out and you had to walk home. But I think it really taught me, perseverance, hard work, and, just how to roll up your sleeves.
I think you played golf with one of those caddies, Dr. Matt Garbarina, today. First of all, how many holes of golf did you play today, and with whom?
Today was 27 holes. So played with Matt Garbarina this morning at 7:20. And Logan, my son, my 15-year-old, wanted to play golf later this afternoon. So we did a 9 holes to round out the day and complete my exercise regimen.
All right, let's talk about Matt Garbarina for a second, because I remember him as a little whippersnapper. He's a couple of years younger than us. He looked like Bart Simpson, the cartoon character, didn't he? With the white curly, the blonde curly afro, the freckles. And we gave him like a ton of guff, but he gave it right back. And the fact that he is a well-known orthopedic surgeon today, is that a surprise to anybody, King?
I don't think so. Yeah, I think that you knew Matt was very smart, great interpersonal skills. I think, the skills that you learn caddying, set many of those individuals up for success in life. And, no one better than Matt. Matt ended up earning a J. Wood Platt scholarship, was a Air Force ROTC scholarship cadet, then went into the field of medicine. But it's interesting, we both caddied for Dr. Dave Junkin, and I thought I wanted to be an orthopedic surgeon as well. I did Army ROTC. So Dr. Junkin said, hey, why don't you come in and follow me in surgery for a day? And I spent 6 hours in surgery with him, and he did 5 knees and he did a shoulder, and he didn't move. He was like right over the table with his glasses on and, this microscope, and I didn't move. I thought it was extremely boring. I was so disappointed because I thought for sure I wanted to be an orthopedic surgeon. It sounded so cool. So Matt Garbarina did the same thing, and Matt thought it was unbelievable. He thought it was just an epic experience. So Matt became an orthopedic surgeon, ended up becoming a helicopter pilot in the Army, which I thought was pretty exciting too.
Yeah, that's good stuff. And he's not the only one. There are several guys that we caddied with that became members at Huntington Valley Country Club or somewhere else. And I think that's a testament to, like, if you surround yourself with good people, people of clout, or if golf is in your orbit, just in general, good things are going to happen. Is that kind of one of the tenets, or is that what you're trying to provide with the First Tee?
Oh, I think so. Yeah. So with the First Tee, we impact 40,000 youth in the greater Philadelphia area. And, you know, we teach life skills. So we're not a golf organization, but we teach character development to, you know, help kids with interpersonal skills, goal setting, how to be resilient, and how to manage their emotions. But it's all through the game of golf. And it's the lifelong game of golf. And the best thing about the game of golf is the network that is created with golf. And, you know, and it's really such a small network, but, you know, your network, if I look at all my friends, I think 98% of my friends I know all through the game of golf. And, you know, we're able to do that with our kids in the First Tee to have them develop their network. So we started a caddy academy. The kids are caddying for Dr. Junkin equivalents that open doors for them, that mentor them. And it was just individuals that help open doors for them to create opportunities. And that's what golf's about. It's a great, you know, it's a great game. First Tee is a great organization to help kids, you know, find success. And really, it's really the next generation of golfers. I think, you know, we're able with the First Tee, there's 155 chapters across the world now. And we're able to open doors for kids who are non-traditional golfers. And I think it's the next and newest generation of golfers that are going to come from the inner cities. It's kids that would be least likely to ever play the game of golf. In Philadelphia, because of our fundraising, we raise about $2 million a year. We make golf free so that kids can sign up for any class. We'll give them equipment. And it's been a great way to bring a lot of new youth to the game of golf.
It's a way to give back, and I know you've given back. I mean, you are so immersed in it, but the people, I could run through a long list of people in Philadelphia that have had great success in business, great success in competitive golf, and they're paying it forward by doing this, and good on them. You mentioned your grandfather. I wanted to talk about him because he is the subject of a book that's coming out at the end of May or early June. Did you aspire to be just like him? Was he your hero? Was he your role model in golf?
He was definitely my role model. He was also my best friend growing up. We played a lot of golf together. You know, every day at 3:30, I would meet him on the First Tee at Huntington Valley. My mom would pick me up at school. I had stopped playing baseball because I wanted to really focus on my golf game. And, you know, my grandfather was my idol. And I just, you know, he was just unbelievable in character. And really, I didn't truly understand all that he had accomplished because he didn't talk about it. He just loved to play the game of golf. And it wasn't for the accolades. It wasn't for the recognition. It was because he loved the game of golf and he was a perfectionist. And he worked harder than anybody I know at the game of golf to develop and, you know, reach his full potential and, you know, to work on his mental game and his physical health. So he ended up being an incredible mentor for me. But he was my best friend. I spent a lot of time with him and, I really miss him, but I learned a lot from him. And because of, you know, all that he taught me, he was really, for me, he was the First Tee. He was the 9 core values of honesty, perseverance, integrity, sportsmanship, judgment. He was all those things. And when I had the opportunity to run the First Tee, I said, you know what, this is time for me to give back because golf opened a lot of doors for me for my path in life. And it was a circuitous path. It wasn't a linear path, but it was all because of golf. And I just thought it would be a great opportunity to be able to give back to others that wouldn't necessarily have the same opportunities that I had.
You called him Grand. Why that?
He was my granddad. So he was grand. And, you know, he I mean, that's just what we called him. And he was special to all of us.
He called everybody son. He called me son.
Yep.
Why that? Do you know? Or that's
I
just
don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. He called me son. And it's like nowadays nobody would call anybody son. But it was very respectful. It was, he was a very virtuous guy, a very spiritual individual. That was one of his key ingredients, is spirituality. But, it was a term of endearment for people, that he did call them son, but it was with full respect. And that was his, that's what he called people.
Yeah. Oh, you knew, even if you didn't see him, you hear, "Hey, son." I'm like, "Oh, Mr. Hyndman's around." There he is. Or there he was on the 8th green, because he lived right off the 8th green of Paper Mill Road of Huntington Valley Country Club. And I spent some time with your grandfather, talking with him, chipping with him. And he was very focused with what he was doing, but he took the time with me. And let me ask you, did you ever beat him in golf?
Few times, not too often, but I did get a couple in on him.
What was that like?
You know what? It was probably I'd have to say he was over the age of 70. But he was quite a competitor. I loved competing with him on the 8th green at night in putting competitions. That was a family affair. But, I'd rather have him as my playing partner. So we played gap team matches together. I played in some gap better ball championships with him. I played in a father-son with him, and I figured, hey, you know what? I'm going to sign up with my grandfather and the father-son. And I don't think anyone will say that you can't have him as your partner, even though he's your grandfather. So, I beat him a couple times, but not nearly as many as he beat me. And it was a lot of fun, a lot of great memories.
Yeah, I beat him one time for 9 holes. And I got to tell you, that was one of my biggest thrills in golf. I was playing with Frank Greger, and I think it may have been Brian McGrath. I'm not sure, but I remember he like crashed our threesome. He's like, "Hey, can I play with you boys?" Like, well, how are we going to say no to him? It's like, of course we could play. And that wasn't the only time we played. He was very welcoming. And if you were putting in the time, he would welcome you to come play with him. And that's how you become a better golfer, is you play with better golfers. So you went to University of Richmond. Why there?
I went there to play golf on the golf team. I had a moderately successful junior golf career. My sister went to Richmond. I went down to visit, thought it was a beautiful school. And the golf coach was able to, influence me to join the team there, and ended up going to the University of Richmond, played on the golf team for a couple of years. I ended up not realizing that Division I golf, there was a lot of good players out there that were far more capable than I was. But it was certainly in our junior golf world in Philadelphia, we had a pretty good team at Huntington Valley. And when you go and play against competitors across the nation, certainly raises the bar.
No question about it. And then you pivoted a bit in college. You joined the Army, and you made your mom cry because you went airborne. What was the genesis behind that?
So I ended up taking a history class at the University of Richmond. My advisor taught military science, and he said, "Hey, you got to take my history class." And everybody said, "Well, take Major Smith's history class. It's the easiest class at the University of Richmond." So I took the class. Part of the class, we got a ride in a Blackhawk. And so they had 6 Blackhawks show up on campus, pick us up 8 a.m. on a Saturday morning, which was really hard at the time to get up for. Got a ride in a Blackhawk and in formation right on top of the trees. And I remember sitting in the back saying, "Wow, I'd love to fly one of these." At the end of the class, which was end of May, they said, "We have 6 slots for airborne school, and if we don't use them, we won't get them next year. So we need anybody to go to airborne school." So a number of my friends, we signed up to go to Fort Benning, Georgia, and we said, "Hey, can we really sign up for this? We're not in ROTC." No, that's okay. So we showed up. We didn't even know how to wear the uniform. We get off the bus at Fort Benning, Georgia. They called us kid idiots. We did thousands of push-ups. We're laughing at our friends because they messed up, and then they're making us do push-ups. Anyway, I made 5 jumps out of an airplane, got my airborne wings, thought I was like the king of the earth. And my advisor said, well, you got to apply for a scholarship. So ended up applying for an ROTC scholarship, which paid for 3 years of school.
Oh, that's cool. So what was the experience like? You saw some action. Tell me about that.
Yeah, you know what? I was in the former Yugoslavia. I was in Macedonia. We had a United Nations preventative force that was deployed along the Macedonian, Serbian, Kosovo border. I ran a flight detachment there. We had 3 Blackhawks with an infantry battalion. That was a preventative force. It was to help keep peace in a very unstable area of the former Yugoslavia where there had been fighting for thousands of years. And in this case, it was a very successful endeavor. That's a very stable area. So I take a lot of pride in many of the basketball players that have come out of Serbia in that area. And it was at a young age to command a helicopter detachment there. It was a great learning experience. And you kind of throw the young chick out of the nest, you learn how to fly. And I was able to figure out how to lead, manage, and keep our unit safe, and ultimately have a successful mission there.
William Hyndman V, Bill Hyndman, King, as his closest pals know him, as our guest. He is the CEO of the First Tee of Greater Philadelphia. He is my childhood friend, a competitive golfer, and is paying it forward by giving back to the game with the First Tee. Tell me this, King, does being around the kids keep you young, keep you hip? Are you cool again, or are you still uncool? Like what's going on?
Cool. I'm really cool. It's more than my staff. So I'm probably 30 years older than my staff. So, I play a lot of golf with them, but I'm probably not that cool. I think I'm cool. I think being around, our First Tee students and being around our staff, which, are really younger professionals, is great. And I think that, I think you're only as old as you feel, and I feel young, and I stay active, and I try to stay fit. So trying to keep up with the young guys. We have 3 golf professionals on staff. I like to try to keep it up with them. I certainly can't outdrive them, but I certainly try. So I like to keep the swagger up as well.
I like it. How did you get the job? How did you get involved with First Tee?
So I was running a veteran recruiting company called Patriot Connections, and I was a headhunter. So I would work with veterans, and I would find them a job, and I would say, Kevin, I have a great job for you. And you would say, no, I'm good. I'm really happy with what I'm doing. And I'm like, no, you have to interview. And a lot of people would turn me down. They wouldn't interview. But my thing was like, you have to go interview. You have to go learn something. And I had an opportunity to replace John McDonald, who was the executive director of the First Tee, who we first met as the Greater Philadelphia Scholastic Golf Association executive director. He turned it into the First Tee in 2003, and he was retiring after 40 years. And he said, hey, King, would you want to replace me? And I said, Coach, that's not me. I didn't think I could make it work. And then I went home that night, and I realized that I had talked to all those veterans about interviewing and going in to learn something. And so I went in and interviewed for the position. And when I realized that I could impact an exponential number of kids, I realized that it would be an opportunity that I really couldn't turn down. And, I've been so blessed, and our family's been so blessed with the game of golf. And it's really my calling. My calling wasn't to be, a super competitive golfer, but I think this has been my calling to, help bring this game to, thousands of kids who would never find the game of golf And some of them were going to be unbelievable competitive golfers, but without a doubt, thousands of kids will be unbelievable in character. They will be scratch in character, what the game of golf does and what the first tee does to build the character of our youth. And it's going to make our community a better place. And so I absolutely love going to work every day. We run 2 golf courses. We got 23 program locations. We got a lot of things going on, a lot of kids that when I run into them on a daily basis really makes me exciting. It makes me excited for the choice that I made to know that we're making a difference.
Yeah, you're in the place that you need to be. You had to take a circuitous route, as you said, working at Comcast for a while. You got me the job there. So thank you very much for that. You worked for a commercial landscape company for a while, but I think your calling is outdoors. I mean, is that correct?
It is. Yeah. So, but I think that everything prepares you. I think the military helped me from a leadership management standpoint. Same thing at Comcast. And then, I ended up spending 8 years in commercial landscaping. Well, that taught me, all the skill sets to help run 2 golf courses. So the first tee in Philadelphia runs 2 municipal golf courses that we took from, probably, without question, the bottom 10 municipal golf courses in the country, that had around 10,000 rounds of golf. Last year, both courses did over 40,000 rounds of golf. And I think it gave me some skill sets to be able to help our team be successful. And absolutely love going to the courses on a daily basis. I see people that are just so joyful that this is, their escape. This is the place where joy is created for them. And I really enjoy being there to see the fun and also have introduction to the game of golf that's not around a country club with a lot of rules. It's really the way to introduce the game of golf to the next generation.
To pave the path for them and let them know this is what's expected. It's a gentleman's game, and now we have young ladies playing it. It's an honorable game, and a lot of those skills on the golf course translate to wherever you're going, be it to college, be it in the workplace. And at some point, like golf and being immersed in it is going to help you with the business. I mean, from our caddy days or even now, like how many deals are done on the golf course?
Everything's done on the golf course. So that's the place where it's all done. It's fun. First Tee started girls golf program, and a lot of parents understand that if they can get their children, their daughters into golf when they go to college and when they join the business world, it's so important because a lot of those women are, had been left out and didn't want to play in the outing. So it's a really large focus for the First Tee. We got about 40% of our students are female. So it's just an area of focus for us because business is all done on the golf course. It's all done, with relationships. It's a great place to build relationships, to build friendships. And as I mentioned earlier, most, if not all of my friends are through the game of golf. And
no doubt. I mean, friendships, opportunities, everything I have. If we took golf out of the equation, I don't know. I just don't know. Hey, look, I'm a sucker for love stories. Tell me about Jolie. How did you meet your wife? I know somebody who's close to you and your family provided a critical assist to make it happen.
Yeah, so I was getting out of the military. I was at Fort Bragg in the 82nd Airborne. I had hurt my back and my neck and realized that I needed to switch vocations or I wasn't going to be able to walk or ever play golf. So I was relocating from North Carolina. I was interviewing with some companies, interviewing up in Philadelphia with Comcast. And our sisters were friendly. And my sister saw a picture of Jolie on her friend Annette's refrigerator and said, "Oh, is that your sister?" Brother was looking to meet somebody out here. So they were able to connect us on a blind date. So I've been on a number of blind dates. Luckily, that was my last one, and it worked out well.
Yes, it did, because I think I had a hand in setting you up on some dates. I don't know how successful they were way back when. I know for a fact I provided some very important intel before you went on a few dates. Is there any thank you for any of my services here?
Yeah, I don't think any of those worked out, So, but that all set the path for that circuitous route.
It worked out in the end. You're with who you need to be, and I'm with who I need to be. Back to your grandfather. We have a real nice project. It's going to be his family history, his life story. What's the name of the book? When's it coming out? And I know you played a critical role in the editorial process and the researching and providing a lot of background.
Well, not really. John Riley is the author, and he's written a book called A Will to Win. And the book's about my grandfather and really about all of his struggles in life. And John was, I think really enticed with, knowing my grandfather, kind of from a distance and thinking that he had this charmed life. And when he learned about the full story about my grandfather, I realized there was tremendous hardship that he had. And, hardship early in his life, and then hardship through the game of golf in, losing in 4 finals of national championships. And he was, really inspired by his perseverance and how he retooled his mind and his body, his practice regimen, his spirituality, to really tell a story about success and triumph. So, this is an inspirational story, and I think that it will motivate and inspire others to, maybe launch their competitive golf career or just their golf career, because my grandfather had all of his success after the age of 40 and through his 70s, played on 5 Walker Cups and, beat Jack Nicklaus and Tom Watson and Tom Kite and Lanny Watkins. They were teammates for Walker Cups. But he was playing against them when he was in his 50s and they were in their early 20s. So I think it's a really inspiring book for golfers or for, any athlete that might think they're towards, or maybe that they think it's too late. But it's really not too late. It's a great story. And there was a neat connection that John Riley had with my grandfather. That's the introduction to the book.
Can we dig a little deeper in that? Can you talk about the editorial process when it's like, okay, this must go in the book. Maybe we should take this out.
Yeah. So I think, I wanted to give John, kind of artistic license and to really kind of own the book. But at the same time, what I thought was critical was he needed to tell stories. I think that you just want to make sure that you're not saying, well, he played with Ben Hogan in the 3rd round of the Masters and he shot 72, and then he played with Gary Player in the 4th round. It's got to be stories. It has to be inspirational stories. It's got to be funny stories. It's got to paint the picture. So, I think that was really what I wanted to influence the most, because I didn't want to advocate for a book that was not a good read. So, I ended up talking with John almost on a daily basis. It's been, a year in development, and I think he's done an incredible job. He's, done countless interviews with, the golfers that I mentioned. There's got to be over 100 interviews that he did. Jack Nicklaus spent a half hour with him. Gary Player spent time with him. Lanny Watkins spent time. It was a lot of work that he did. I think I'm really excited because I think it's come together that it's a great story. And, as I mentioned, my grandfather was my mentor, and, he lived a really virtuous life, was a very strong Christian. I wish I could be half as good a person as he was. And I think there's a lot that people can learn from him and his example. And I think that they'll be really impressed at his story about how he hung in there and ultimately, won at a very high level to really accomplish his goals. And then he kind of did it exponentially at an age that no one had ever won a USGA event at the age of 67.
I think that's right around the time that I met him when we joined Huntington Valley, because his game was tight. It was sharp. And I'm like, how old is this guy? Holy smokes. He was an outlier.
Yeah, 83.
That's when we joined. So there it is. That makes all the sense in the world. Hey, man, how long are you going to work? How long are you going to do this first T gig? You going to work forever? Or
Did my board ask you to ask that question? I love working.
No, I just came up with it.
I love going to work. I work at 2 golf courses. The one golf course, we've renovated the clubhouse. Now we're working on the second clubhouse at Walnut Lane Golf Club. It's a $3 million renovation. But I sit in the conference room. There's a big glass window, and I absolutely love watching golfers tee off. So I love going to work. It's a lot of fun. A lot of the support, and we're really blessed that there's incredible financial support that comes in from a lot of successful people that have been positively impacted by golf that want to give back to the local community, and they've become a lot of personal friends. So I love work. To me, and I think I work really hard, but it's not work because I love it so much. So I'm going to do it as long as I can. I don't have a timeline. Every day I inspire our staff to say, hey, let's impact one more kid than we did yesterday. Today we had an event at John Hepburn Golf Club. We had 70 kids come out for a tournament. And when I first started 10 years ago, we couldn't come up with 5 kids to play in a tournament. So it's a lot of fun. It's really rewarding.
Yeah, you're doing a great job there. Hey, where are you joining us from? I know you're in an office, but I know Bucks County, you were a Montgomery County kid where we grew up, but there's something about Bucks County that keeps calling your name like you belong to the land.
Yeah. Well,
explain the spread and living the dream.
Well, as you know, we grew up in Abington, and once a year I get to go to my grandfather's farm in Bucks County in Carversville, and we would go fish in his bass pond, and I would get to go there once a summer. And that was my utopia. So I just knew at an early age, I had to figure out how to end up in Bucks County. So, 30 years later, after I got out of the military, I bought a house out here. We ended up fixing it up and then parlaying that to hopscotch to our next house, which is an old 1700s farmhouse that overlooks a pond. So right before I talked to you this evening, I was down fishing, and that's my therapy. So I love being out on the land. We got a lot of things to take care of, but that's me going to the gym. So I really enjoy being outside and a lot of solitude, which is really therapeutic.
Are you still fishing with that fly that I tied for you, the German Shepherd fly?
I am. It's doing well. It has to have caught 50 fish.
That's fantastic. Tell me this. All right, we're getting toward the end here. What would you be doing in life without golf? Like, how important is golf to you?
Wow. That's one I don't think I could answer. I wouldn't have gone to the University of Richmond. I wouldn't have ended up in ROTC. I wouldn't have, become a helicopter pilot. I think it would be I don't know what I would have done today if I didn't play 27 holes of golf. I think life would be really boring. I do have a few hobbies. I like car restorations. But my life would be incredibly different without the game of golf. So I'm just really lucky to, have golf in my life and, to be able to help bring golf into other people's lives. So it can, make a monumental impact on them.
You're telling my story, man. You're telling everybody's story that listens to our podcast, that watches it, because it's such a central part of who we are. And it makes everything, it gives us so much, and it just makes everything we have even better. And the important thing is we recognize it. I want to recognize you. I also want to promote your grandfather's book coming out, A Will to Win, and John Riley. You're going to set that up. Like he and we're going to do an interview real soon. That's done deal.
Yeah, you could probably do it next week or whenever you want. So yeah, the website's up. We're going to have a kickoff event at Huntington Valley Country Club on June 13th. It's great. We're going to have so Harry Donahue from KYW is going to be our MC. We have on the panel Jay Siegel, Gordon Brewer, myself, and John Riley, and maybe one more. But it'll be a great panel. And My grandfather did a lot of good deeds, positively impact a lot of people, just like you were saying with, on the 8th green, helping people. He was just a very kind person, was very selfless. And, even though he's been gone for 25 years, he's left a legacy that's positively impacted a lot of people.
Well, I can't wait to read it. I purchased it as soon as you told me it was available for pre-order, and I will read it and I will discuss it at length with John and do so lovingly. Hey, listen, man, thanks for joining us here. Bill Hyndman, the CEO of the First Tee of Greater Philadelphia. And thanks for being a friend of golf, but more personally, thanks for being my friend. You've been there for me in a lot of good times and bad times. And thank God for golf, or you and I wouldn't know each other either, would we?
That's right. Awesome. Right. Enjoyed the time, Kevin.
Hey, keep up the good work, and I'm here for you anytime, and look forward to catching up with you again and reading the book. I'll be back in touch with some comments on that. You keep in touch with me. Anytime you want to come back, you got a forum right here. Right here.
Got it. You come visit.
Yep, you got it. For Bill Hyndman, I'm Kevin Walsh. Hey, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Again, a big thanks to the Golf Real Estate Pros, Vince Vizzacaro and Gene Walsh, suncoastdreams.com, and Party Drinks. Looking for an alternative? That's exactly for you. Got to get you some parties, King, and then we'll go down to your pond and we'll bust out some bass. All right?
Sounds good. I'm ready.
All right. For King Hyndman, I'm Kevin Walsh. Thank you for watching and listening to It's Party Time, My Golf Story.
You've been listening to It's Party Time, My Golf Story, brought to you by Party Drinks. Classically designed golf drinks for golfers by golfers, and the Golf Real Estate Pros Gene Walsh and Vince Vizzacaro. For your Southwest Florida real estate needs, check them out at suncoastdreams.com or call 941-220-4000.
This is Vince Vizzacaro and Gene Walsh with the suncoastdreams.com real estate team at Fine Properties. We've helped hundreds of families find their dream homes in golf and resort communities in Lakewood Ranch, Bradenton, Sarasota, Parrish, Venice, and the surrounding areas.
Let us be your guides to finding your dream home here as well. Learn more at suncoastdreams.com or call us at 941-220-4000.